I'm Andrea Giles, and you're listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, episode number 54, Influence versus Control. Hello, and welcome to the Heal from Infidelity podcast, where courageous women learn not only to heal from their spouse's betrayal, but to become the boldest, truest, most decisive, and confident versions of themselves ever. If you know there's more for you than the life you're currently living, but don't quite know how to get there, you are in the right place. Stick around to learn how to create a life that will knock your own socks off. Is it possible? It is, and I'm here to show you how. I'm your host, Andrea Giles. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hey, everybody. I am coming at you from a hotel room today. I have been very busy lately packing, helping my daughter get packed and moved out, my 18-year-old, and preparing to go to a training and taking care of various things for kids, and wanted to get this recorded to get it out to you on time. So before I dive in, I want to say thank you to those of you who have gone in and left reviews. I really, really appreciate it. We're now over 100. Thank you. It's so awesome to see. I love hearing from you, so thank you. Also, I have to note that later this week is the 1-year anniversary of the release of this podcast. So I just want to say one more time, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the love and support and the wonderful feedback. And I just love you, and I'm grateful that you're here. Okay, so today we're going to talk about influence versus control, okay? This is something I find myself talking about a lot in my coaching with my clients. So when my clients come to work with me, one of the first things we do is we start carving out what they want. Many of them have not thought about that for a really long time, and so it feels a little uncomfortable, but we dive in to what they want. If they could set down what other people think, set down what they think they're deserving of, and really answer the question, what do you want? Now, something that we run into often is when clients want things that involve trying to control another person. So I want my husband to ... I want my husband to not ... right? What I say to them is that we cannot put somebody else's behaviors and things like that in our own results. What I mean by that is we cannot control what other people do, right? We can influence what other people do, but we cannot control it. So for us to say, I want my husband to stop this or to do this, we're trying to control their behavior so that we can feel better, right? And the problem is it never works. We can't control anybody, especially people who don't want to be controlled, which is most of us, right? The thing is, most of us often do this. We try to control the things around us to protect ourselves. It is a natural instinct. It's a natural thing. We want to know that how things are going to end, how things are going to be okay. You've heard me say before that we all desire certainty. We want to know, okay? And the thing that is so much more powerful than trying to control outcomes around other people is learning how to use your own mind to influence the outcome, to influence the people around you, okay? I'm going to give you some examples of what this looks like, and I want you to listen and see if there are areas that you maybe are trying to control, where you can maybe loosen the reins a little bit, and where you have the opportunity to have a strong influence. So again, when I try to help my clients decide what they want, they often want to change the behavior of their spouse, okay? So they will, for example, want their spouse to get off of all social media so that they can feel better. That's one example. They think that if their spouse will get off of social media, which is in some cases where their spouse got involved with the other people or person, that they can be happy and that they can trust their spouse. The problem with this, you could probably hear it, is that they're wanting to, again, control the outcome of their spouse. They're wanting to say, if he does this, then I get to feel this way, right? And really, first of all, there is no guarantee that we're going to feel a certain way. That's on us. Nobody else has that power. So they could get off social media. And then our brain could be like, ooh, I wonder where else he's communicating with people, right? We'll find some other thing to be worried about if we don't teach our brains otherwise, right? And like I said, when trust has been broken, we really, really want to know that we're not going to get burned again. And so it makes perfect sense, right? It makes perfect sense. We want to know that it's going to be okay. But again, even if the person is checking those boxes and doing the things that we want them to, we still tend to wonder if they actually want to make those choices, if they are feeling pushed into it, or if they're feeling resentful towards us because of those things. So often it doesn't even have the result we want, and it doesn't create trust. If we are like forcing this thing and then kind of questioning, do they even want to do this or not? Okay. Trust does not come from there. Okay. Here's another example. Sometimes we don't say exactly how we feel about things because we're trying to control how others feel. I can't tell you how many people that I've coached or worked with who simply do not bring issues up. They just don't bring them up. They don't talk about they don't ask tough questions. They don't bring up tough issues around infidelity because they're afraid of their spouse's response. So, in a way, they are trying to control the feelings of the spouse, but guess who else's feelings they're trying to manage? Their own, right? Because they're afraid that if they say something that rocks the boat and the spouse is maybe uncomfortable or upset, or when are you going to get over it? When are you going to stop asking me? Then they have to feel a feeling which might not be very comfortable. And so they just shut down altogether and just don't bring things up. But in reality, that's not helping them either. It's not helping them move forward to just stuff it and not talk about it. Okay. And they're trying to control the situation by not saying anything instead of telling the truth, asking the questions that they want to ask, and letting the chips fall where they may. Okay. It's another way to kind of try to control the environment. Yet in reality, there's still a dissatisfaction because they know that they're shoving things down. They know that they're missing the opportunity for real intimacy and connection. Okay. Now, I want to give you a different example from the side of the person who betrayed the spouse. Okay. This is something that I have seen as I work with people. I hear kind of the stories about their spouses and how they got involved and how they're handling things now. And I want to tell you what control sounds like, and I want to tell you what influence sounds like. Okay. Control is where we withhold information, tell little bits and pieces of truth to try to control what the spouse does. It means justifying leaving a lot of things out to try to control the outcome and keep the spouse in the marriage. Okay. So it sounds like this. I am going to leave these things out. I'm going to not tell her these things because they would just hurt her, and there's no reason for her to know. It's very much trying to control how things go. Okay. Now, influence sounds like this. I am going to tell her everything, and I understand that she may choose to leave, but I need to be honest and let her choose, right? I have to just put it all out there and let her choose. That is influence. It's influence because we're laying it all out, saying, all right, here it is. This is everything. I understand if you want to leave. I understand if you don't want to do this with me. But in the end, this is what creates trust, even though it's the hard things to say and the hard things to hear, right? This is actually where trust, like real trust, comes, because the betrayed person can feel the honesty in it, can say, okay, he's laying it out. He is saying to me, you can leave. You don't have to stay, right? And the person can then choose what to do, obviously, but they're going to be influenced a lot more of what to do when they see the honesty from the other person, where they see the other person earnestly working, earnestly trying to make changes instead of kind of tiptoeing around the truth of all the things that have happened to protect you from getting hurt, right? We're beyond that. We're beyond protecting from getting hurt. What hurts more is trying to be controlled What hurts more is not actually being privy to the information needed to make the best decision for yourself, right? So that's another example of influence versus control. Okay. So I've been practicing this a lot in my own life. I have noticed areas where I have tried to go in with control and it just doesn't work with in my marriage, with my children, mostly on the home front. Okay. As you've probably learned from me talking, I'm expecting a baby. We're expecting baby in December. And as the reality of that comes closer, I'm seeing the areas where I want to make some changes as a family. And in the past, I have come in with frustration, with like, if I just, show them how frustrated I am, then maybe they'll decide that they want to help more or whatever. And what I'm realizing is that that is not working. And I'll tell you why, because I'm not showing up the way that I want to in those situations. I am showing up trying to control, trying to manage, trying to get people on board. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't like how I show up sometimes in those situations. What I do like is when I show up from a place of calm, from a place of power, a place of like peaceful authority, where I take responsibility for what I want and I allow myself to feel the discomfort of showing up in that way. What that looks like is holding people accountable. It means speaking up more than I have. I can't control what other people do, right? I can control how I show up, how I request, how I encourage, how I influence the people around me to step it up and to rise to the occasion. I am not threatening them. I am not manipulating them. I'm owning what I want. I'm really, really liking my reasons for it, for the things that I want, really backing myself up and wanting what I want and inviting them to join me. Okay. Me showing up in this way is far more effective than me just barking out orders and being annoyed and arguing with them or, I wish you guys would this and this and this, right? Or being the victim or the martyr. This is me saying, my experience matters. This is what I want. And I'm asking you to step it up. And this is what I would like. And really owning it, right? They can say no, they can push back on it. But in the end, I get to stand my ground and say what I want and give them the opportunity to come along, right? And go from there. Control is more punitive. Okay. It's coming from a very different place emotionally. It can come from panic, fear, doubt, being desperate. Influence, however, comes from a place of strength. It feels very, very different. So I want to ask you a question. Can you think of someone in your life who has had a great influence on you? Maybe a teacher, maybe a coach, maybe a friend, maybe some kind of leader in your life. Why did you want to be around that person? What made that person special? Why did you want to please that person? So when I was in high school, actually starting in 8th grade, I had a choir director named David Poole. We all just call him Poole, just Poole. We all wanted to please Poole because we loved and respected him. And even back in 8th grade, when I first was in his class, he had a high standard for us and we wanted to meet it. He knew what we are capable of, even in 8th grade, and he expected us and invited us to raise our own selves to that standard. He did not try to control us to make him look good, to pat his own ego, right? He invited us to be excellent because he knew that we are capable of it, and he brought it out in us by the way that he taught. I remember as I got older, I moved away right before my junior year in high school, but I had him my freshman year and sophomore year. And he, even though it was a choir class, he would sit and talk with us. He would sit and read poetry. He would share stories. He would invite us to become more. He would invite us to tell the truth. He would invite us to speak, to share who we were with him. And in high school, how amazing to have a teacher see you in high school, right? You can bet he had a lot of influence on a lot of people. And several years later, when he retired, there was his final concert. And I was living across the country and I had a newborn baby and I figured it out and I booked a ticket and I went to that final concert. and all of the alumni got to go up and sing. And there were so many people there because he influenced so many people, right? He did not control us. Yes, we won awards, we won state competitions, we were very good. But it's because he brought it out in us, not because he needed us to look good for him. He wasn't trying to control us to pad his ego. He truly saw it in us and wanted to invite us into an experience. We can have that same kind of influence in our homes, in our relationships, in our workplaces. We can be that same kind of powerful force. We are not backing down from what we want. We are not backing down from our own standard. We are not backing down from what is possible. We are showing up in our own strength, and we are inviting people to join us. Okay. So how do we do this? It's such a great question, right? How? The biggest thing is that we have to release ourselves from the outcome that we think should be. Okay. Accepting what is, and then owning what we want. So for example, if somebody says, I want a healthy marriage, I'm all for that. I am all for that. Okay. But sometimes what we do is we say, I want a healthy marriage and I want him to do this and this and this so we can have a healthy marriage. That's controlling the outcome. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like. Okay. We're holding the standard. This is what I want. This is what I want my relationship to feel like, to look like, to be like. And then kind of sending it out and letting things start to work for you instead of trying to control every little thing that happens. Okay. So sometimes we get that healthy marriage with the person we're married with. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes I wanted a healthy marriage too in my first marriage. I really did. I wanted a healthy marriage. I have a healthy marriage now, but it's not with the same person that I thought it was going to be. I had to release myself from that outcome and let things play out. And they did play out, right? You can influence the way that somebody else shows up by being the best version of you. Okay. You can want the things that you want, but we're inviting them. They have to be willing to come along. Okay. And so we're influencing them by asking for the things we want, by setting boundaries around what we are okay with and what we're not okay with. Okay. The greatest way to influence other people, to encourage other people to come along is by not trying to control who they are or how they are, but controlling who you are and how you are and how you show up. Okay. So if we find ourselves in these situations where we're kind of in that punitive role of like monitoring every little thing and checking up on every little thing and, that kind of role, first of all, how does that feel in your body? What does it feel like? Does it feel like love? Do you like your reasons for it? Is it working? Why or why not? How is the other person responding? How is it growing your relationship? Now, we can set the standard. This is what I'm okay with. This is what I'm not okay with. This is my boundary. This is what happens if that boundary is crossed. And then you step away and you see what happens, right? You see what happens. And guess what? Oftentimes they decide to come along. Sometimes they won't. But that is how you invite people to come, is by setting those boundaries, saying what you want, owning what you want, showing up in the way that you want, and inviting them to come along. They may or may not, but that is how you have influence. That is how you influence the situation. Okay, now to wrap this up, I'm trying to sum this up in a way to show the power of what I have witnessed around this, okay? I have coached many people at this point, and I always am my own first coach. I coach myself first, okay? I can't coach other people if I can't coach my own brain. What I have learned is that we can't control other people, but the surest way to get what we want is by really becoming who we want to be. The more we are who we want to be, we can't control people, but if we could, that's how you do it. It is powerful, okay? We can't control them, but if we could, that's how you do it. That's how, is by being the best version of you, by living your life with integrity and who you want to be. It is so powerful. I can't tell you how many times I have worked on changing my own thoughts about something, done the work to really change my own thoughts, to manage my own mind, to show up the way that I want to, that feels like love to me. And then stepping back and seeing what happens. And without fail, it's so amazing. Without fail, it's almost like I'm controlling the people around me. They show up. They try harder. They want to please. They want to participate. It's really, really powerful. Okay. But that is not actually coming from a place of control. It's coming from a place of controlling myself, managing my mind, taking responsibility, taking ownership for who I want to be in the world, and truly extending an invitation, allowing people to come with me. Okay. Who do you want to invite to come with you, and how are you going to do it? I encourage you to take a hard look at how you're showing up. Are you trying to control the people around you, or are you trying to influence them? It's there. It may feel like a subtle difference, but it makes all the difference in how you bring people in with you to cooperate, to truly get what you want. Okay, that's what I've got for you today. I hope you all are doing well, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much. Thank you for listening to the Heal from Infidelity podcast. If you would like to be kept in the know about upcoming free classes, new podcast episodes, and other ways of working with me, go subscribe to my weekly email. You can subscribe at AndreaGiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. Again, it's AndreaGiles.com/lies-about-infidelity/. I will see you next time.